Hey, what is going on, YouTube? We are live. You know what it is. You already know what's going down. Goodness gracious. Can barely speak. Loki, episode 6. Guys, it's the season finale. So we're going to be live reacting to it right now. I'll also be live tweeting. So be sure to hit us up in the comment sections on YouTube. We're live streaming right now on both WE SIBZ and the Laracuente Ledger. So much we're waiting to see. The big bad, obviously, to be revealed, etc. So, guys, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into this. We'll be trying to give you guys screenshots throughout the episode. We don't want to get a copyright strike or anything. We got hit. Our last episode got hit, so we're gonna start it at the 1 minute and 19-second mark, and we'll start in. You guys ready?
Let's go.
Yep.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Loki. Here we go. Way to go, Tic Tac. Here we go.
Any last predictions?
Okay, so we're hearing voiceovers, iconic, catchphrases from the characters that we've seen in the MCU thus far.
I want to say it, Miss Minute.
I'm gonna see. It's got one of those screenshot blockers on, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell this episode's gonna be big.
Yeah,
I mean, just the scale of it already in space. What is this? What is even happening?
Going on?
It's nuts.
I'm tripping out, guys.
Very much so. It's really wild.
I think we're.
Oh, and here we go. Looks like we're finally out here at the end of time. Here we have Loki and Sylvie at this palace. Who knows now? Is this Dr. Doom's place? What's going on, J7? Also hit us up in the comments, guys. We'll be putting it up. The good comments we'll put up on the screen. No spoilers, guys. I'm trying to get good screenshots, but this does not want to cooperate right now. Here we go.
What is this?
Yeah, that's better.
Why does this look kind of familiar? Put my finger on it.
The dynamic between these two, I still just drives me insane.
Oh, yeah. Oh, why is he acting like that? Loki seems a little scared, guys.
He does.
I'll be Jay, I'll be also sending screenshots your way. I don't know if you're able to get them.
I can try.
Okay. Right now, Loki and Sylvie are at the door of whoever this person is, whoever this being is.
Okay, here we go. You think it's gonna be a good big reveal or kind of a joke?
I'm seeing cloaked people.
He's impressed. So Miss Minutes is on screen now saying that they've gotten basically to the end of time, and he created all of this.
Oh, wow. How did you... Oh, you're a little ahead of me.
Wait, was that right?
The Citadel at the end of time.
Now, there's an ongoing theory that it may not be Kang, that it might actually be Loki himself.
Yeah. I did hear that. And also a lot of information about...
Stanley.
Now, Miss Minutes is offering Loki an opportunity to win the battle against the Avengers way back in the first Avengers movie. Wow. This is
Battle of New York. Yep. So she's giving him the opportunity to kill Thanos personally and have his own great timeline. They're basically offering him anything he's ever wanted.
Just seems like a really big deception. Which
Yeah,
plays
oh,
right
definitely.
into the theory that it's Loki.
Yeah, it's a deception. Jay, you should have some screenshots by now. I think.
Yeah, they're not pulling up, bro. So I don't know that we're gonna be able to get them right now. So.
They're not pulling up.
Yeah, I see you sent them, but I'm saying as far as me trying to get them into the stream right now, they're not coming back. So.
Oh crap! Sorry, guys. I mean, you may just have to literally watch us react. Not the best thing, but you know what? I'll work on something. I'll work on something. Just let me see.
So now Miss Minutes is back with Ravana.
Yeah, people didn't like that. We lost a couple viewers there. Yeah, we're working on something, guys. We're gonna get you guys able to see something.
I'm trying to pull the shots up, but
yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, so now Ravana is speaking with Miss Minutes.
Yeah, it seems like I'm slightly ahead of y'all.
Okay, yeah, I'm at I started at the 119, so.
Yeah, I mean, I started at the same time, but I don't know, for whatever reason, it has me slightly ahead.
No worries. Let's see what we can get. All right, guys, so He Who Remains, we have Loki and Sylvie walking through this castle. We have yet to have a reveal of who this person is.
Do you really think it's going to be Doom?
I hope that it's Doom, but the longer it's being dragged out,
the more that it's Loki.
Yeah, and honestly, even some of the statues in the house, like they're not things that Von Doom would. Oops, sorry. They're not things Von Doom would actually
look like.
Yeah.
It's Kang.
I hope it's not Kang. Oh my god.
I'm looking at it.
Oh, come on, Dad.
Okay.
Is it really Kang? Wait, how far ahead are you? I still don't
right now at 9:40.
9:40.
Yeah, that's the time.
Oh yeah, you're 20 seconds ahead. Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it's Kang. Okay, guys, so we have our first major reveal. It is Kang the Conqueror.
Who invited Usher?
I'm going to get you guys a picture.
So now...
Behold, Kang the Conqueror. He's talking right now. He's saying, you know, come, let's talk. Step into my office, basically.
Oh man, this is gonna be a fun episode.
He's saying, what are you expecting?
So he brings him to their lair.
He's basically a hologram. Because Sylvie took a swipe at him there in the elevator, and
now
seems
I'm watching it with the subtitles on, and it's funny because since they haven't revealed his actual name, when he speaks, the subtitles listed as "He Who Remains."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He Who Remains. Oh, that's him. That's funny.
This is interesting.
Okay, so they still have their swords out. They don't seem to understand that they're kind of outmatched. This person obviously knows a lot more
Everything
of what's
about
going
them.
on. Yeah.
Oh boy.
This is what we're looking at right now, guys. They're in Kang's study, looks like. He's offering them some tea. Oh, the return of Mobius.
Mobius is back.
Would you look at that? Made it back from the void.
Oh boy.
Oh, and Ravana's like, oh, she's sorry. Yeah, right. So Mobius is having a dialogue with Ravana right now. And now she's calling a security detail. Mobius is saying now he knows Ravana's secret. And it looks like he's recruited B-15. They're working together here.
Oh, 18.
They're in Ohio right now.
Wait, 2018, what Avengers movie is that?
Yeah. Oh, shoot. They're back at Rainslayer's old life.
Yep.
Wow. So this is
what time stamp are you guys at? Because I'm still ahead of you guys, so I'm trying to.
Yeah, well, you're like 20 seconds ahead. So I'm at 13:44. Zach, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you get to 14:17.
14,
so we can kind of line it up.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we're at 14. Okay, so Loki's telling Kang that he's lost because they simply found him, which doesn't make any sense. And again, they try to take a swipe at him, doesn't work. 3, 2, 1. We're caught up, Jay.
All right, cool.
That doesn't make any sense. That's a little arrogant of Loki to say you've lost simply because they found him.
Okay, what's up?
Oh, wow.
Oh, so Kang here knows the future.
He's basically reading it off of a transcript.
Wait, no, he has the script.
Yeah, just like the TVA had when he first got there, and they said, sign to say this is everything you've ever said. Another picture of Kang here. He's saying he saw everything on Lamentis. He saw everything that the TVA didn't know about.
Kang is actually really funny.
He knows that Loki's in love with Loki. No, they didn't. Why do they keep saying that?
Now, Kang is saying that he's the one that has been pulling all the strings for them to get to this point.
Yeah, it's so weird that the Lokis are so arrogant the whole time saying, no, we beat you, we beat you. And he's still like, nope.
I need answers. What the heck?
Yeah, we do need some answers here. Guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, click the bell, as we'll be covering all the Marvel stuff. Ton of content coming your way. So Loki, this is a battle of the wits because Loki's supposed to be a master manipulator.
And Kang is now trying to sow seeds of doubt between Loki and Sylvie.
Turn them against each other, maybe. No, they only trust Loki.
Oh.
So they're still having this dialogue here. So Ravonna thinks that the TVA, yes, it's a lie, but it's a necessary one. So she's just a believer.
Ravonna still is battling with herself internally as to the TVA's purpose and why it was created. And just struggling with the fact that there had to be a reason for everything to happen the way that it did, because if not, what was it all for?
Yeah.
They definitely have chemistry.
So Ravonna feels betrayed by Mobius, thinking that, she did everything for him and he betrayed her for a couple of Lokis. It's interesting, Mobius making the point you can't take away people's free will, but nobody knew it. This whole time in the MCU, nobody knew they were being manipulated. All right, Mobius looks like he's going to prune her.
Oh, dude.
Wow, that was really sad.
Yeah, it was a feeble attempt to stop her.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like he was setting her up.
Yeah, it does seem like a trap, doesn't it? Hey, yo, what up, TC? Welcome, welcome. Great to see you, man. We're just showing as many screenshots as we can without showing video. We don't want to get a copyright strike on this finale episode. So right now, Mobius has just had a kind of a duking it out, if you want to call it that. Is Kang the Conqueror the time? Yeah. Kang the Conqueror is behind all this, which is insane. And we should have known because they gave a hint about Kang in the last
episode.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a big believer in going back and rewatching things, and this is definitely one show that when you go back and rewatch, there is so much that led it to believe it was going to be Kang. And all along, Chris, in your first episode review, you said about the fact that nothing was to be believed about this show. And we kind of felt that way through WandaVision. We felt that way through this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Through this show, I should say. And yet, the biggest swerve was the fact that it was exactly who they were pretending it was going to be.
Exactly. It wasn't exactly. Yep. That it's just it's crazy. TC, yeah, Kang has shown up. Kang is here. That picture that I just showed, that is Kang.
Origin story. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. Origin story. 31st century. Kang was a scientist, just like the comic books. He's talking about the multiverse. Okay, so he's saying there was a time where there was peace between the multiverse, traveling between worlds, sharing technology and knowledge. Oh, the name, Jay, you got the name. The name of this episode is called For All Time Always. So he's saying other multiverse versions of Kang were more sinister. Saying other Kangs just wanted to conquer Kang the Conqueror. So he said there was basically a war. The episode
is Kang war.
Yeah,
instead of a gang war.
Right. The episode is about about 46, 47 minutes long.
Oh.
Okay, they're saying the first variant met a creature. Goliath. I'm assuming that's Goliath. Yeah. Encountered the creature. That's interesting. He has little toy models, advanced toys to demonstrate the story. So Kang created the TVA to hide. Hence, you're welcome. So Kang basically sees himself as saving the entire universe from a multiverse war.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a point a little bit.
Of course, this is his perspective.
Now he gives an ominous message. If you think that I'm evil, wait till you see my variant.
Yeah, and I think that's his point. There's war waiting on the other side of this multiverse. He discovered it, and he decided to close it. He said, and that's the gambit. Reference to X-Men? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, please.
Sylvie's obviously not happy. Guys, you know what I'm realizing? A majority of this episode takes place just here with a dialogue. We're about 25 minutes into the episode now, guys. More than halfway through.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to explain.
Yeah, there is a lot to explain. That's a good point. Kang's giving them an ultimatum.
Yeah. He's giving them an option.
Kill Kang and let all the universe, the multiverse, free.
Well, they run everything.
Yeah. He's probably tired. He's been doing this so long.
Exactly what he said.
Oh, yeah?
Here it comes.
Yeah, Kang's basically saying he doesn't mind if they kill him and take over the job.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul, yep.
Strike me down.
Kang says that this game of controlling the multiverse is for the young and the hungry. And he's been looking for the right people to take the spot. And he ended up finding 2 people. Time duration, Eva, what you mean, like the length of the episode? We're about 26 minutes in. The episode in total is about 47 minutes.
Okay.
So Kang shows them multiverse war. What is she talking? Why is Sylvie acting self-righteous? I mean, what was his choice there? He's saying, grow up.
Seriously. Oh, I like King.
He said, yeah, he said we're all villains here. Sylvie was acting like super self-righteous there.
Like she hasn't been taking people out this whole series.
Right, they're 3 villains. Evil, you're saying, is it more amazing than the 5th episode? There's a lot of explaining going on. So if you like action, probably not. For information, though, yeah, definitely.
Definitely the right place.
Kang is making a great point. I'm sorry. Like, what's his other choice? Somebody put in the comments what choice he had here.
Honestly, I think I would just leave him.
No, he just said we just crossed the threshold, and he's looking around almost fearfully.
I think it's multiverse wartime. I think that's what's going on.
Here comes himself.
If you guys are wondering, I've got more screenshots, but it's basically been the same. It's been the same thing. We're in Kang's lair here.
Oh boy.
Oh, he said he lied when he said he knew how things were going to turn out.
He says he knew how they were to a certain point, but now he doesn't know.
That's what he meant by the threshold.
Now we're getting a shot of literally the timeline like we would see from the TVA branching off.
It's branching.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, so Kang is saying that threshold was when he no longer knew what was going to happen. At the end of time. It might be, Charlie from Emergency Awesome was saying it might be like universal heat death, like the theory in science where the universe melts and that causes another giant explosion, which gives birth to another universe.
One ends and another begins.
Yeah, it's another war.
You kind of said, yeah.
Okay, Sylvie. Well, then what's the answer?
She's like really like agitatory like right now. She's like really trying to antagonize him.
Right.
And it almost seems like Loki doesn't know which side to take.
Right. He doesn't know what to think, as everybody doesn't know what to think when faced with this. But Sylvie's acting like she's got some kind of answers, but she's not giving any answers. Okay, now he's pointing to the thing that's been on his hand the whole episode. It's kind of like a marble bracelet, but it glows. He's holding it in his
How he
hands here in this shot.
controlled the little statues.
Oh.
I'm guessing that's how he controls time. Oh boy.
I think Kang's about to die.
Oh. They're fighting.
Okay, so Loki just stopped Sylvie from killing Kang. All Sylvie wants... Yeah, they're going to end up fighting because Sylvie just wants to be Kang the Conqueror now. That's... Yeah. Loki believes Kang.
Yeah, Loki's going to have to kill Sylvie.
Okay, so now Loki and Sylvie are at odds here. Very interesting because they've been in love and now it could end in a fight.
Now they're bickering amongst themselves.
And now Sylvie's saying, yeah, you want the throne. And now they're going to duke it out. But I truly don't think Loki wants to be Kang the Conqueror.
Right, and Loki's almost trying to plead with some sense of humanity or just logical thinking from Sylvie, and she's clearly thinking more emotionally about it and a whole lot less rationally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sylvie just wants power too.
Yeah, it almost seems like she's determined to get it one way or another.
Yep.
As opposed to actually considering what could potentially happen. That if Kang is being honest about the fact that killing him would unleash, different variants of him that are much worse. Loki almost seems fearful of that potential where Sylvie is just like not about it. She's just
she's not even considering the fact that Kang could be right and what the implications for that are.
Right. Oh, here we go.
Fight.
Nope. Yeah, Sylvie's out for blood.
Yep.
It's so stupid. I mean, she wants to kill Kang, but
she has no answers as to why.
Yeah, exactly.
No, like this is a complete turnaround for a character.
Oh, remember, love is like a dagger. It's gonna end with Sylvie getting stabbed. Loki's gonna kill Sylvie.
So, yeah, I mean, she's convinced that Loki wants the throne.
Yeah,
and I think that it's partially because of the way that the seeds were planted by Kang, and by the fact that they're Lokis, and that's exactly what they do.
Yep.
Slow motion. That's not good.
Wow.
Yo, she really just wants to kill. Oh, she almost killed him. Yeah, Loki really does believe what he's saying.
Yeah.
She just wants blood, though, man. Some screenshots here of the action happening between their fight.
Now Loki's trying to plead with her humanity, saying he's been there, he understands.
We're going to see, will love win out? Because there has been a love arc here, but they are Lokis.
A very strange love arc.
What's it been, like 3 days?
Right? But they already know each other so well, Zach, wouldn't you say?
I don't like this.
It's almost like they're one.
Right.
Oh, yep.
It's just weird on so many levels, right?
Yep, it gets worse.
There's going to be a kiss. You already know.
Yep.
He's going to stab her now. Wait, where have we seen this?
Okay, in the comments, would you kiss a female or male version of yourself? That is weird. Sorry. It's just
Yeah.
strange.
Oh boy.
It was an illusion.
No, she set him up.
Guys.
Okay.
Wow. Yo, this Sylvie is evil, man. I can't stand her.
Oh.
He's excited to die. I like Kang.
Yeah, he is.
There you go. She killed Kang.
Yep.
I don't believe that.
And there he goes. He said he'll see you soon. Like, how dumb. Oh my gosh. I lost so much respect for Sylvie.
Yeah, it's just going to be another Kang who shows up. Like,
exactly.
Now, there are rumors of season 2 for this show being the only one to get a season 2.
Yeah, there will be a season 2. Yep. That's pretty much confirmed. There will be a season 2 of Loki. Yeah. But how dumb. Like, honestly, she did all that. And then the Kangs will be back. Just like he said. And so she just murdered. But see, this is what I'm saying. Like, she keeps on with this self-righteous attitude when she's done the same types of things, the lies, the manipulations, the killings, like all of these things.
And now we see the timeline branching and almost like a tree growing some serious roots.
Yeah, but it's like ripping.
Yeah.
It's just fracturing. Okay. And now here we have the birth of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. This is what's happening, guys. I have a screenshot up here.
X-Men,
all of this
X-Men
is all the different versions. It's completely gone crazy.
It's breaking everything down.
Yep. And so let me just say right now, Deadpool, X-Men, all of it. It's now here.
And
it's all here.
Speaking of Deadpool.
Yeah, I know. I saw the record.
Trailer. Absolutely loved that.
It was super cool.
Loved it.
Guys, here we have the birth of the MCU multiverse. Fantastic Four, X-Men,
Deadpool,
Daredevil, Blade, Daredevil. Yep. It's all here. It is all now canon. That was the visual that you just saw.
Yep.
I'm about to tweet this too.
Are we over? No, we still got like 10 minutes.
Loki seems like he's on a mission.
You can hear the very Doctor Who music there. Yeah. Guys, this is insane. TC, no, the episode's not done quite yet.
Now Loki's telling Mobius and yeah.
Wow.
Wow, Mobius doesn't remember Loki.
Wow. Is he in the wrong?
And then we see statue of Kang.
Is he in the wrong? Oh, it's Kang.
Wrong timeline.
It's wrong timeline, or he's already too late.
Right.
Yep.
And this is what's happened to the main MCU. Kang is already here.
He's already taken hold, taken over, in full control now. That's what he said when he told
Okay.
Sylvie, "I'll see you soon."
Yep. So the
Okay.
episode ended on this shot with Kang being established. I would assume this is the main Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point. Kang is ruler right now over the MCU. At least on a universal scale. Maybe the people of Earth aren't aware of him yet. But whoa. All right, I'm tweeting this now. Here we go. Kang now rules in the MCU. That's the tweet going out here.
All right.
Wow.
So
why did Mobius not? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it looks like we have a end credit scene,
secret
or
ending,
mid credit scene.
Okay.
And
Felix,
42,
we'll get to your
43.
questions. Okay. Guys, we're gonna get to all your questions.
So yeah. So jump ahead to 42, 43.
Okay.
It looks like there might be some more.
Yep, I'm here. You guys ready? And then we are going to react. So Felix, we're going to answer all the questions here. You guys ready? Post credit scene. 3, 2, 1. Politics with Youth. Welcome. We're going to answer all the questions right now. We're taking a look at the end credit scene. Oh, of course, it says Loki will return in season 2.
Yes, nothing.
Yeah. And we knew this was going to happen. Basically being confirmed. Okay. Woo, guys. What an episode. Wow. It was, you know what? Leave it to Marvel to have an episode that is mostly dialogue in a superhero action franchise multiverse, and it still be that compelling. Wow.
Yeah. It just begs so many more questions.
It does.
You know,
it really
I
does.
guess that's the beauty of Marvel and the way that they run their system and the way that they put together these programs. And it just truly goes to show how much forethought and planning they do for these shows, for their movies, for everything. You know, and seeing this play out the way that it did, again, basically an entire episode of dialogue, of just information dumping, and yet it was still super compelling that you wanted to pay attention to see what was there. Very, very interesting. Very much looking forward to what season 2 is going to have. Obviously, to see where everything now goes through the regular MCU timeline. This is very interesting now. Let's get to some of these comments really quickly. Felix asked why Mobius doesn't remember Loki. What kind of theories you guys have on that right now about why he doesn't remember Loki?
Well, he was.
Go ahead, Zach.
Timeline. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Cut you in. If he was if he's removed from the timeline for God knows how long, you know, and all these kings are just sprinting around doing whatever they want. There's going to be so much to pick apart and to resort. This is kind of like the snap, again, on a cosmic level. You know, Thor might not even recognize Loki at this point. Like, who knows what's going to happen?
Right. Who knows what exactly is actually transpiring from the way that this played out.
Yeah. This is so actually today I heard that there was a rumor that they were trying to recast key characters in Marvel with younger actors. So this might be just a whole refresh button for all Marvel.
Yeah, you know, I think that Marvel's not going to tell the same stories twice. I think that while they may recast actors like for Iron Man, Spider-Man, I mean, we've seen that in the comic books before where different people have taken on the mantle of various characters, whether it be Iron Man, Lady Thor, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. All these characters were brought up to replace kind of the main ones and tell new stories. So I think the MCU is going to do the same thing. But to answer that question, why does Mobius and B-15 and arguably the entire TVA, why are they unaware of who Loki is? The answer is Kang rules now in the MCU. Exactly what Kang said. Pay attention in the episode where Kang explains everything. And Loki, the guy who we trust when it comes to knowing what a lie is, he said, Kang's telling the truth. Kang's absolutely telling the truth. There is a multiverse that was discovered by Kang in the 31st century. And when that happened, it happened synchronously. It happened in sync all around the multiverse. All these Kangs from everywhere discovered these portals, and they opened them up, and like Kang said, there was peace in the society. They were able to live. It was self-congratulating peace because Kang was arrogant, right? But then it turned quickly into war. And so Kang, I'm sorry, he seems like a hero here because he closed off and preserved his own people in a multiverse. And sure, they were unaware of what was going on, but the only other option was to have multiple invaders and just a cluster mess of multiverses, different Kangs coming in. And so Sylvie got her way. She tricked Loki, and Kang said, I'll see you soon. And that's exactly what we saw, because by the time Loki even got back to the TVA, Kang was ruler. Whoever that Kang is, whatever multiverse he comes from, because remember, we know the Kang of our MCU multiverse is dead. Sylvie killed him, okay? But whoever's ruling now is a Kang from another universe. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
This isn't even our universe anymore. That's the thing. Oh.
It truly is a multiverse. If you think about them all working, instead of like lines, think of it like spaghetti. Yeah, everybody has their own line, but it's all so jumbled up at this point. Characters will be hopping in, popping in. This will perfectly explain the X-Men. I think the Fantastic Four are probably already in the MCU. We just haven't met them. But the X-Men, this explains that. This explains new Iron Man. So many different characters coming in now from the multiverse. I mean, what a beautiful way of illustrating it. And I'll show this image again. If you guys are watching on Twitter, this was the image of what happened when the multiverse started splitting from one single line. Remember the circle, the sacred timeline, to all these branches. And then you saw from the branches, smaller branches, almost like a network of veins.
Yeah, if you squint at that, those are very, very small branches all happening at once. It's not just one big event. It's like 1,000 in one little branch.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's insane what they've just done. But honestly, hats off to Feige and the guys over at Marvel and the gals over at Marvel, because they just perfectly explained it. They just wrapped it up in a neat little bow and said, here's your multiverse. Here is everybody that you've ever wanted to see in Marvel. And really hats off to Mickey Mouse, because we know Disney bought the rights to all these film franchises so that this could happen.
Yeah, I mean, in seeing that image, the way that it branched off, obviously we knew going into this, we were going to get the multiverse. We were going to get, all of our favorite Fox Marvel properties brought over. Yeah. They were going to get integrated, but to see it pictured this way just is such a beautiful visual representation of what we're about to get.
Yeah. No doubt. So for those of you who are watching, whether on WE SIBZ or on the Laracuente Ledger, because we're live on both channels right now, we're going to be diving into all of this episode in the coming weeks. We're going to have weeks to digest all of this. Going back over the season, of course, looking at Easter eggs and things like that. Having this wrapped up, now being able to compare it to WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this was definitely the most consequential show of all the Disney Plus shows, which is interesting because everyone thought that it was going to be WandaVision. WandaVision having, being a Nexus being herself, having the powers that she does. You would think that her show would be a lot more consequential, but everything really did just happen in that bubble.
So
for her,
I
for the most
do
part.
have a theory that kind of just popped into my head in thinking about how this show kind of wrapped the 3 seasons, the 3 shows that we saw from Disney Plus this year. And the fact that we do know that Wanda is a Nexus level being, and the fact that we consistently heard about Nexus events in this show, and seeing the fact that Mobius did not remember Loki. And even though Loki remembered exactly what was happening and tried to explain it, and we also saw that none of the Minutemen inside of the TVA recognized Loki as a variant, as somebody that they needed to capture. Because remember, the last time they saw Loki through our visual lens, this was an evil variant they needed to capture and prune. Now they're running right past him as if he doesn't even exist. He's speaking to Mobius and B-15. There's no kind of recollection as to this is Loki. Like Mobius said that you're an analyst, like, what's going on or whatever. And with Wanda being a Nexus level being, we're going to be able to see her recollection and her knowledge of everything that took place. So I really think that heading into, as we know, she's going to be involved in the Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness. I think that that's going to be something that we're going to see a glimpse of what happened here, where she knows the truth of what was before Kang, before all of this happened. So I think that's going to be a very interesting set of events that is going to happen going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree. Zach, I feel like you have something on the tip of your tongue there.
Okay. So everything's put into a new perspective now. This whole Loki thing with all the variants and stuff. I feel like that's what we're going to get again in Spider-Man now. The Eternals, in their trailer, they just kind of show up. So it's probably them just falling out of their own multiverse into ours. That's why it looks like they don't belong at all. There's like 60 of them, and it just doesn't make sense until now. Multiverse of Madness just sounds like Doctor Strange teaming up with a bunch of powerful people trying to straighten this spaghetti that you mentioned. All of these projects that we've heard of that's coming in the next 5 years or whatever are all put into this new perspective for us to follow. I feel like this section of Marvel has ended, the whole lies and deception theme, and now we're getting into the cosmic level spaghetti theme, because it changes every Avenger movie.
Yeah, pretty much. At least
every team up movie.
Every team up movie. So we're coming up on the close of this little segment of lies and deception theme, and we'll be getting this new, hey, here's everybody at the buffet. Just scream.
No, I agree. And guys, we will be getting to your comments in just a second. But what I would say is, man, the thing about how significant and impactful what just happened is, I think cannot be understated. And this is because all these characters that have been hiding, like for the Eternals movie, right? The Eternals were already there. They were not aware of who they were, right? So they had memory loss, basically. So Dominic, to answer your question, the Eternals, they had memory loss. And the events of Thanos' snap and the events of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame woke them up to their true identity. So this won't have as much to do with the branching and mixing spaghetti cosmic timelines now. But the Eternals will definitely be important in protecting our multiverse if there is a war with Kang. I think that is exactly why Marvel is setting up a movie like the Eternals, because in every way, if you look back at 2012, you look at the first Avengers movie, those heroes were fantastic, but they were heroes for that scale of threat. Now we are elevating to a new level of threat that is cosmic. And so you're going to need your Eternals. You're going to need your Thor. You're going to need people who can straight duke it out with anything that comes through the void. And so I think they're just setting up a ton of awesome stories that they're going to be telling. And Spider-Man is definitely going to help, expand that even more.
Yeah. And to kind of just piggyback on that point, about what you're saying, that we had the Avengers to deal with that level of threat, and now we're on a cosmic level. And I also think that that's where Marvel's just genius of pre-planning and forethought really comes into play, because we know Cap is gone. We know that, Steve Rogers, Cap is gone. Iron Man is gone.
Yeah.
And we're now seeing that we're getting newer, bigger, more cosmic threats, and we're going to need more powerful, cosmic beings to deal with it. That's where we're getting the Eternals. That's why Thor is getting another movie. Granted, the success of Ragnarok really pushed it forward, but that's why Thor is the only one of the original 3 big gods that are getting another movie. And now we're seeing, Doctor Strange and what he's going to be doing, bringing in WandaVision, and seeing, and just to bring back, just to call to mind, we did not see what happened after White Vision flew away. So that's not something that we can just completely forget about, because that's going to be very important going forward. So now we're seeing these, cosmic level beings preparing and almost being summoned to deal with the cosmic level threat that is Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. I think, no, definitely. But on the other hand, I also think that, I don't know. I feel like what they're going to do with the MCU is they've exploded it for the sake, in terms of the multiverse. They've done this only for storytelling. And that's what you kind of like about Marvel, is they give you all the things that you wanted as a comic book fan, but they don't do it while sacrificing the story. You can tell that all this is going to serve this story, from Multiverse of Madness to Spider-Man, and having all of these Spider-Mans. For instance, we knew that there was going to be Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Doc Ock. We knew that they were going to be in the movie, basically. But we never knew how. And this gives us the how. Now we totally understand. We don't want to get too far behind on the comments, though. So Drew Buckeye says, I wonder if time has passed in the TVA for another Kang to rule and reset everything. My answer to that, and guys, let me know if you disagree, is no time has passed. It has literally completely instant, at the instant that they changed, and the multiverses started splitting, it changed and warped reality. So Loki hasn't been gone for 1,000 years. Like, he hasn't been gone for all this amount of time. I believe that the second he got back, everything has changed. He didn't time travel. Reality itself has warped. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's important to recall one of the first things that we were told at the very beginning of this show is that time works different at the TVA. And the way that we've kind of projected this, the fact that the TVA being inside of the quantum realm, this also leads into the theory that Kang was going to be the villain inside of Ant-Man Quantumania. So the fact that the time works different in the quantum realm, the time works different in the TVA, and here we now have in basically the blink of an eye, the entirety of the TVA has changed to represent Kang being in charge. So I definitely agree that I think that it is something that just happened literally at the snap of a finger. And just going forward, it's going to be one of these things that this is what was, and what will always be in the minds of the people in that moment. Because what happened before, almost like with Thanos' snap, everything that happened before that, we don't really recall within that next time frame. So it'll be very interesting to see where exactly they go and break this down from there. But I do agree that I think that it basically reset completely at the moment that it happened.
No, totally did. Zach, any input on that question there? I can tell.
Here's the thing. Sylvie's really making me mad right now, because Nobody dies off screen in these movies. So the fact that she's not dead off screen, I understand she probably just fought off like a billions and billions of kings or something, right?
Sure.
So why didn't we see it? Why isn't she dead? Because here's another thing. We just saw a bunch of lizard people turn out to be robots and Kang behind it the whole time. Now we see a big statue of Kang. Now, thankfully, he's a narcissist, so it might actually just be a Kang. You know, it might be the winner Kang.
Yeah.
But, like, she's still existing. Her entire plot, everything is just weird right now. I don't understand why she just did anything. Oh!
Well, but and you know, I will say there is a bit of criticism that I do have for this episode, and that is kind of a betrayal of character for Sylvie.
Yes.
She always seemed to be a quick-witted, very smart, thinking on her feet person, somebody who could intellectually match Loki, and she kind of threw that all away for some kind of bloodlust. So we'll talk about that, but I don't want to get too far behind on the comment.
Yeah, but just to kind of piggyback on that really quick. It almost felt this bloodlust that she had for Kang, it's like, where did it come from? Because initially it was about stopping the TVA from, you know, disrupting things and basically taking people out of, you know, variant forms of people out of their own timeline, because it was revenge for her initially, because they took her away from her timeline. But it's like almost as if this bloodlust just magically happened for her, for Kang specifically.
Yeah.
You know, she had an opportunity with Loki to take over, you know, and not have just killed off Kang in that way. And it almost felt like there was just this, you know, ravenous need to kill him for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I have an answer for that, definitely.
Well, she did say in past episodes something about like breaking the wheel kind of thing, you know, breaking the timeline.
Right,
but
and we know that, you know, Loki has
at the same
burning
time, she's
the
not
TVA to the
stupid,
ground.
You know? Yeah, she was never stupid though. You know, she would have had a better answer than just, oh, I'll just stick a knife into it. Like, that's what's getting me mad.
Okay, I get. We're talking about it now. We might as well get into it now. We'll catch up with the comments. Yeah. So the whole thing about the portrayal of character with Sylvie is like Jay, like you said. You know, she was able to. Well, like I said before, she was intellectually able to match Loki every other episode prior. And then she just betrayed all that for a bloodlust, randomly at the end of the episode. And the main problem with it was that there was no motivation for it. So they didn't set up anything. They didn't, you know, give us any hints as to why she could be thinking this way. She had a self-righteous type of demeanor toward Kang, as where Loki seemed to be kind of confused and, you know, like coming to grips with the possibility of it being real. And then Loki even said, look, I'm a liar. I know what it's like to lie, and this guy's not lying. But Sylvie was so blinded by what motivation? Let us know in the comments. Did she want to be the conqueror, the new Kang? Because she even fought Loki saying, okay, well, then you kill me and claim your throne and all this. But was that what she wanted? And killing Kang, what would that have done? You would have destroyed the TVA. For what? Like that's what I'm saying. So there's a lack. Right. So there's a clear lack of motivation for her character there. And so if there's one criticism that we could give, I do think it would be Sylvie's character toward the end. And it was irritating just how convicted she was with nothing to stand on. She gave no argument or any reason for why she was doing what she did. She just wanted to kill Kang, whether he was lying or not. But from there, comments. So ton of comments here. Shane, you said, I felt like there wasn't a resolution to the show. I'm excited to see what comes next. However, the show's ending is just Disney's marketing scheme to make us go watch the next movies.
Absolutely.
Responses?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
get used to it. It's going to happen a lot worse.
I mean,
everyone's an addict.
I felt like there was an opportunity there, you know? There was an opportunity, and obviously we weren't going to get closure. There's a second season coming, this is just the kind of the precursor. these 3 series that we've seen, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and now Loki, were just a precursor to the next steps in Marvel's vision. But it almost felt, in my opinion anyway, anticlimactic. The fact that Sylvie stabbed Kang despite, like you said, Chris, no real motivation for doing so. There was a real opportunity to give that redemption story that we thought we were going to get for Loki, and we didn't get it. So this is definitely just setting up even more to come and forcing our hand to watch it. So definitely.
I mean, that's why it's not over. It's still season. Yeah, we still got season 2. Oh.
Yeah, and Shane also said, I also didn't like Loki's arc. This is 2012 Loki, whose arc took years and years to get to how he got to in the span of like 4 days. It felt like forced overall. I didn't hate the show, and I kind of liked it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I kind of agree. It did feel almost rushed in a sense, but again, time works different in the TVA, but it did feel kind of forced overall. Almost like they were trying to push the Loki that was, had his neck snapped by Thanos in Infinity War and give us that Loki, because that is more so who we saw by the end of this series. By the end of this first season of this series was the Loki from the Infinity War, not the Loki from 2012. So I definitely agree with Shane that there was just a bit lacking from this particular Loki's arc.
I mean, he did see his life flash before his eyes, but at the same time, this Loki was way too emotional to be 2012 Loki.
Yeah, you know what I will say? I think the problem is that's kind of the issue you end up having when you've already finished the character's line. That's part. It's become part of who Tom Hiddleston plays Loki as. Somebody who's already gone through that journey, and we saw a lot of it throughout this series, and it came to it came to like a boiling point at the end where he really was a changed man from what he was before. And so I think that we already have a great Loki arc that ended in Avengers. So I think this one did not satisfy in terms of people who are looking for a better arc or a continuation of a story. I think that this was used for a twofold purpose. The first was to give Loki, his own spot, his own chance to play Loki and really dive into the character, do any extra things he's always wanted to do. And the second one was obviously to set up the multiverse and have that ready to go so that they could jump right in with Spider-Man No Way Home, and as well as Doctor Strange, because we know in Spider-Man No Way Home, not only are we getting so many different Spider-Mans from other versions of the character, other movie franchises, but we're also getting Charlie Cox, Daredevil, not only in Spider-Man No Way Home, but in the Incredible, I think Cade's talking about, no, I think he said Incredible Hulk, She-Hulk. So he'll be in that as well. So you're obviously seeing all these rumors that we had been hearing of all these characters being in these movies. Now we have a reason for them being there. I think that's kind of the main purpose of Loki, and that's why I think it's a more consequential show than the other ones. And even if you take a look at Anthony Mackie's new Captain America, great, definitely gives us new Captain America. Kang all along, absolutely, just like Agatha all along, we should have seen it coming. But when you look at characters like Anthony Mackie's Captain America and him taking on that role, that's great. You look at Wanda, she's had some personal growth. She knows her powers better. That's great. And she really can change a lot. But when you look at Loki, it can change a lot. It did just change everything. So yeah,
for sure. So we got another comment here.
Yep.
That ending was wild when Mobius didn't know who Loki was, but it was a bit anticlimactic and slow, to be honest. Yeah, and I mean, just kind of, echoing the thoughts that we just had a moment ago. It really did feel a bit anticlimactic getting the ending the way we got it. But in reality, like Chris said, this is just the setting up of the multiverse. And this is probably the easiest way for them to have set it up. We know that with the pandemic kind of, rearranging everything that they initially had planned. The tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman, you know, really started to change the outline and the game plan that they had going into this next phase of the MCU. You know, so there was going to have to be a sort of shift in order to make that happen, in order to bring about this next phase. So I think that while it almost felt a bit anticlimactic, a bit out of character for Sylvie to just jump ahead really with this bloodlust, this vendetta of sorts, there's a necessity for it almost. And I think that it was interesting that, you know, Kang was saying about not knowing the future, not knowing what was going to happen after a certain point, and that we
Crossing
had reached
the threshold.
that point. I almost feel that he was continuing to lie, that he knew that in saying that Loki would believe him and Sylvie wouldn't, and that would start the, you know, an inner turmoil between the two that would ultimately lead to what he wanted most in bringing about this, you know, ultimate war, this multiversal war of Kang.
So what you're saying is, so here's the thing. What he said in his origin story, the Kangs all are connected in a way that's better than everybody else because they all discovered the multiverse, right? They all discovered themselves at once. They also, oh, hey, what's up? Nice nose, nice hair, blah, blah, right? It seems that there are very few variants with the Kings, meaning that most of them probably work together. I know you two don't really watch Rick and Morty, but in the show, Rick has a whole planet of his other variants and versions of themselves, and they all just have a government together. So I kind of see this happening with Kang.
The Council of Ricks.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
I see this happening, you know. Kind of like he will sacrifice himself knowing that he will live on in 50,000 versions of himself. Plus.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say is that, you know, I definitely have to go back and re-listen to what he was actually saying when he was first introducing it, when he had like the little figurines kind of playing out the story of how they came together and how it all transpired as far as this multiversal war that began with the Kangs. But I think that there's probably a lot in that little monologue that he had that would very much believe and lend itself to be with this idea of like the Council of Ricks, that it's the Council of Kangs, you know, and that they're orchestrating all of this together.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would tend to disagree with that sentiment only because of the multiversal war. This was something that Kang obviously he did not want to happen. He was saying, you know, you have two options. You can either have war or you can take over as the ruler of the multiverse. I think if we were to take Kang at his word, which Loki seemed to do as well, this is not good. This is not because the Kangs, much like the Lokis, if we look at episode 5, the Lokis ended up stabbing each other in the back. And Kang explained earlier in the episode that, they did have peace. They had it for a minute. But the Kangs, much like the Lokis, have that kind of personality. Somebody's going to stab somebody in the back. So I don't think that they would ever get together working in a council or working together.
Right. So,
I think the best thing to do is to keep them away from each other.
Yeah.
The council is probably the wrong word, but more so that, like you said,
it's a continuing being.
It's a continual fight for top spot, and not in a good way, not in a positive ruling way, but the worst of the worst is going to be the one that comes out on top.
Yeah, as long as there's a King in charge. Because, like you said, if you get a Sylvie showing up, well, that's not good. That's not a King. You know, she's got to go. So I'll die right now, but you 600 better come in and get rid of her, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. No, I think that it could end up working like that, but it would be in no kind of unity. It would be in no kind of
exactly.
And especially because it's just a little too big now. When they were saying the multiverse, they really, I mean, if you just look at the scale of what we saw visually, you're talking almost an infinite amount of variations and variabilities. So Cade saying, will the Incredible Hulk from the first movie be a part of this? So that's a great question, and here's how I would answer it personally. And guys, let me know what you think. Yes, everybody is now part of it. They have so many opportunities to do whatever they want. There's no reason that they would say, no, this is not part of. Yeah, Miles Morales is now part of the MCU, the cartoon universe, Spider-Pig, you name it. The old Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk, every version of every Marvel character that
everything
we've ever
becomes
seen.
available.
Yeah, they live somewhere in the MCU multiverse. So yeah, if that answers your question, definitely the Incredible
it's
Hulk.
exactly what DC did with the Flash thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly, and DC kind of beat them to the punch. I will say
Marvel
that
did it
because,
better,
you know, I'm a DC fan deep down. I don't know if Marvel did.
It's a better setup. Because DC
I think with the scale that Marvel's about to do it, it will probably end up being better. But that's also because the people running DC and Warner Brothers are morons and clearly don't really listen to the fans or even what their most knowledgeable directors that they've brought on, aka Zack Snyder, want to do. Because if they had any common sense about them, they would restore the Snyderverse.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But let's jump ahead.
That's a failed
real
universe.
Quick, I absolutely agree. We still needed a shot of Mobius and the jet ski. We didn't get it.
The jet ski?
Hopefully, we get it in season 2 because that was kind of disheartening.
Yeah, and guys, I guess
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Sorry for ruining your night, Zach. Kate also asked, "What are your thoughts on Ravonna just gave up her position after a conversation with Mobius?" Now, I don't know that she necessarily gave up her position. I mean, let me know your guys' thoughts on it. I think that, you know, she said she was going in search of the truth. Now, whether or not she actually believed that or what she was actually going to search for, I don't necessarily know. But I don't really think that she gave up her position.
Yeah,
I think Ravonna's is. Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
Oh yeah, it seems like she just went into like a really weird crisis. I think she may return as something big in the future. Kind of like how Red Skull showed up on that planet and he's like, oh, I'm the entity of the stone now. Like, I feel like she might show up as some kind of time wizard later. But like either that or the multiverse will just kill her. You know, something like that. Something weird's going to happen with her if she's going to go on this journey as like a time traveler. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of Ravonna. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, by the way, did a great job. I think she did a fantastic job of showing kind of the shock and disbelief, but yet the fight to still believe in something. She was really coming to an internal realization, kind of a cognitive dissonance, if you will, facing the reality that if this is true, not only is her whole life that she thinks she knows a lie, but she doesn't know God. Like I had talked about in the second episode or so, I think it was episode 2. My episode recap was, it was the first episode. Yeah, it was Marvel establishes. Yeah, it was Marvel establishes its God, and this God was the timekeepers at the time. These people who the whole MCU, the whole time, the sacred timeline, this was the person that was pulling the strings the whole time. And so in a lot of ways, that was Ravonna's God. That was everybody at the TVA's God. And all the people in the MCU were unaware, just being little pawns. And really, Kang was playing God this whole time. So now that they've pulled, you know, a whole lot of Doctor Who, a whole lot of Wizard of Oz, a lot of Rick and Morty themes in this show, now that they've pulled the veil back and they see that, you know, this thing that they thought was God, or that they thought was this all-knowing whatever, like Ravonna even said, the only person who deserves free will is the one who is in control. Now that she knows that it's all unraveling at the seams, she said when she walked into that portal, I'm going to seek the truth. I'm going to find the truth. So what I think this means is she's going to turn much more into the comic book accurate version of Ravonna. She's going to get her suit and it's going to be amazing. And she's going to be looking for the most powerful being in the Marvel universe. She's going to be trying to find who's really pulling the strings.
Yeah. So we actually got a comment saying something along those lines. Ravonna is going to be the new Kang the Conqueror's love interest in the movie, and Loki season 2 is going to be Loki fixing the small timelines that need to be fixed. They also said that Sylvie starting the multiversal war. OMG, mind blown! What a last episode! Kang has arrived.
Yeah.
Kang is here, and he's here to stay. I think what a way to introduce. I mean, here's the thing. You can't. We knew whoever was going to be introduced at the end of this Loki series. Everybody has been talking about us as creators and other YouTubers. Whoever was introduced at this was going to be the next big bad, or at least this version of Loki as Loki was in 2012, kind of the big bad working for the bigger bad. And so I think we've seen it. My prediction before the episode had started was I wanted it to be Victor Von Doom. I thought Victor Von Doom would be a fantastic villain.
Next time.
But it just, but you know,
we spent all of last week taking down episode talking about it.
Talking about it, and it just the aesthetic and the fact that the place looked like Latveria, and you know, Kang's castle, I guess works, but you know, now
Doom
that
can always take it over.
that it's Kang, but I doubt. I mean, he's not even, but he's not even introduced yet. So I think that, you know, Marvel did a fantastic job of introducing Kang, and now he's not only shown up, but he has shown up on a multiversal scale as a ruler and as somebody who I would imagine the Eternals and Thor will be fighting very soon.
So, all right. So here's my question for you then. Do you think that Kang is Loki of 2012, or do you think that he's Thanos of Infinity War?
I think he's both and all.
I would definitely think Kang is Loki of 2012. I don't think he's Thanos. Just from Kang, the character in the comic books, he's powerful. He ain't that powerful. I mean, you know, he's nowhere near Thanos power, nowhere near Galactus power, nowhere near.
So that was the path that I was trying to get to. Do we think
who's he working for?
That he is working for Galactus, the Eater of Worlds.
So I kind of thought this before when Alioth showed up. I was like, oh, this is just to get us ready for Galacticus. You know, Alioth eats everything that's left over. We'll expand that and make it timelines, and you got yourself Galacticus. So I think Alioth was kind of like a segue to get us ready for the preparations of what Galacticus will be like.
Yeah, you know, I hope and pray that is not true. I mean, all that I remember is seeing like Cloud Alioth and thinking of Cloud Galactus from the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four sequel, and it was so horrible. It was such a bad, you know, rendition of Galactus in all of his, you know, might and his big, you know, goofy looking yet intimidating armored suit and stuff like that. No, I don't think that Kang is working for Galactus. I think that, like, if you think about how Galactus moves in the multiverse, and in the MCU, well, we haven't seen him in the MCU. I mean, in the Marvel comics, this dude doesn't work with anybody. He has his heralds. That's it. They go and they tell when he's on his way. In terms of Kang trying to rule these universes, Galactus has one primary objective, and it is to feed. It is to eat planets so that he can live. He was born at the end of the last universe, so Galactus is not even a creature of this universe, this MCU universe. He was born from the last one, and in being that, nothing else in this universe really can kill him. So I don't think that he's on a mission to conquer the MCU in any kind of way like that he would employ someone like Kang. Kang doesn't really serve his needs. He needs people like Norrin Radd's Silver Surfer and people who can just straight, you know, take down all the defenses of any planet anywhere and just, you know, basically heat up the plate so Galactus can eat.
Yeah. And along those lines, we got a comment saying, I think that Kang is just an MCU phase big bad. I am betting Galactus will be the next big Thanos level threat.
Now here's the thing with that. I think that they could do that, and I think they were looking at Doom and they were looking at Kang. Those were the two people that, at least the rumor was that they were looking at them to be the big bad. Possibly Von Doom showing up in Wakanda, getting the vibranium for his suit and stuff like that, and that didn't seem to pan out. So I would still love to see Victor Von Doom, and I still think we will see him. So I think this is how I think it's going to play out. I think it's going to be Kang, then Doom, then Galactus. And the reason Doom is so essential, even if you want to go the Kang route, is because of the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is the future of the MCU right now, and their main antagonist is Victor Von Doom. So I think that you raising your hand like you're in school.
Yeah.
Yes, Zach, you there in the back.
Oh, me? Okay. So here's the thing. We probably shouldn't say Galacticus, because the second the MCU says Galacticus and they give us Galacticus, there will never be any topping Galacticus. He has to be the last big bad, because there is nobody who will be better than him. Really? What do you
I beg to differ.
Okay.
I beg to differ. There are some people who have handed Galactus, they've handled Galactus. Galactus is, don't get me wrong.
He's huge. Yeah, he's a big deal. But
He's definitely the most powerful we've ever seen. Thanos doesn't even touch it. Not even a thing. But there are some characters like the Living Tribunal, who, they're just on another level. And see, as the MCU becomes more and more cosmic, getting bigger from that little Avengers world, like, we really don't want to go too high up, because, guys, a lot of these characters are going to be irrelevant. Like, if we go up past Galactus, like to Living Tribunal level, then the Eternals will be the equivalent of what the Avengers were in 2012. That's the level of power that we're talking about. And the Eternals, like, one of them could destroy an entire planet. And then move on to the next one. They're like almost Silver Surfer level powerful. So there are characters that could be.
That's the thing. It's not the comic books. It can't get so big that the audience, of normal people, can't understand what's happening anymore. Kind of like with Superman 8 million, or the Gold Superman, right? We will probably never see
Prime
him
1 million.
Yes, exactly. We'll probably never see him on a movie screen, because everyone will be confused. Yeah,
they'd be confused, and there would be no story to tell, because he can just think his will and it happens. Can you pull up, Jay? Can you pull up Hazy Boy's comment there? I think this is a good one. And I'd like to get you guys' opinion on it as well. It's a question about whether we'll see the MCU introduce the Fantastic Four from another timeline, or whether they were here. I think this is a really interesting one, because it could go either way. But I would say right off the bat, I do think they already exist in the MCU. There's been talk about, the Baxter Building, as we saw in Spider-Man in New York. Like, they've given hints that Johnny Storm and Sue and Reed and Victor and Ben all exist in New York right now. They just haven't gone to space and had that cosmic accident that has given them their powers. But what do you guys think? Are we going to get them from another timeline, from another universe? Or are we going to see them here?
Before I get into that thought really quickly, we have another comment from Cade that says, since all of the Fox will be going into the mix as well, will they do Chris Evans' Flaming Torch and Captain America? So in kind of reference to the potential of the timeline situation, I think that we could be seeing both a new set of, Fantastic Four, a new set of X-Men, but also getting the versions that we've already seen, even if it's just almost like a throwaway scene.
Just like walking through a bunch of portals, and like in the background you see them on
right.
Yeah,
so not as meta or fourth wall breaking as Deadpool would be, but just a little nod to those incarnations of it. But I think
Yeah, nothing like
overall,
Spider-Man.
the yeah, yeah. So I think that we'll get some glimpse of it, but I think that, like you said, Chris, they are already here. So we're getting a new, you know, version that we haven't yet seen to play out these
Yeah.
characters that we've been hinted at.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that in terms of the Human Torch being, recast as Chris Evans, we don't have to do that anymore. You know why?
Yeah.
Because of the multiverse. So that version of the Fantastic Four, hold on, guys, is actually out there somewhere. They're out there. So if they really
And
needed
even the
Chris
terrible
Evans Human Torch,
version with
Mhm.
the newer
Yeah.
Fantastic
That
Four that
middle
they
Yeah,
version.
did,
with Michael B.
that was
Jordan and
terrible.
with Miles
I didn't even
Teller.
watch it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's how bad it
It was
was.
Killmonger's
bad.
in the Fantastic Four.
Fan four stick. That's what they called it. Yeah, no, so if they really wanted to do it, like Jay said earlier on, all of Marvel and all of their history is completely open. They can take any character that they want. All they have to do is sign the contract with the actor who did it, and they can do it. And this was something that I feel like we really saw happen in earnest with the Flash when they brought Jay Garrick in, and he was
Yep.
actually the Flash from the old TV series.
Mhm.
Just the ability to say, hey, we're going to do that. I think Marvel has done a wonderful job opening up that same possibility.
Fact.
But yeah, I don't know who's that. I'm probably going to butcher. Yeah, that's the one. Puris. I don't know that word. Hopefully, you're not making me say anything crazy. Maybe Galactus, I'm assuming, in Phase 10. Because there are so many baths and there's a lot of
Mhm.
story that could go. Because my boy is right. Galactus is more powerful than Thanos. Yes, he absolutely is. It's not even close, really. Even with the Infinity Gauntlet, Galactus is a
Yeah.
dude you don't want to mess with.
Fact.
Because like he literally destroyed the destruction of the universe. Thanos used a gauntlet to manipulate
Yeah.
the universe. So you really can't kill him. But Phase 10, maybe. But no, I really do think that they will do Galactus this time. And the reason is, and I don't want to get all serious with it, but what we saw for the last, decade plus in the MCU was something that had never been done before,
Mhm.
but it's twofold. It's not only that it had never been done before, but there is no guarantee or promise that it will ever happen again. So with that
Ah,
being said, I think the incentive is on Marvel to go hard or go home. You give us the best stories, and the biggest thing, because who knows, a pandemic could hit and movies could be delayed again, or
yeah.
something could happen. You just
Or
don't know what's going to
downright
happen. So if
finish.
you have the ability, yeah, exactly. And you know what? Disney has bought these properties. Use them. Bring Galactus in. I don't think they're going to wait
Use
and
them
say,
all.
"Oh, well, we'll bring in Galactus in 2038 or 2040," because there's just no guarantee that any of that could happen. Think of it
Yep.
this way: the MCU was not built in a day, right? It took a long time to build it. It
Mhm.
could take about 5 to 10 years to crumble it. A few bad
Yep.
movies, a few bad directors, say Feige leaves or they get the wrong people in, things start going south. All of a sudden, all these stories that we thought we were going to get decades from now would be in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Don't let
no,
that money
I completely
waste.
agree. Yeah. I mean, the fact is that obviously Disney has a ton of money. They were able to buy these properties, and be able to use them. And the worst case scenario would be to waste money and throw it away. And we
Mhm.
know that Disney's not going to do that. They're going to
Yeah.
try to capitalize as much as they can on as many properties as they can. And, I brought it up a little bit earlier, but we would see kind of the slight introduction of Deadpool to the MCU.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
and
I know
Oh,
that
even
makes
though
you
they were
happy, bro.
only yeah, even though they were only narrating their thoughts on the trailer for the Ryan Reynolds video
Free
game
guy.
parody movie, yeah, that guy.
yeah.
But even though it was just that, the simple fourth wall breaking that we constantly see from Deadpool, of and any advice from Korg on how to get into the MCU. You know, just getting that, you know, just is as the first glimpse of Deadpool in the MCU. Use them all. Now, my only fear, and we've kind of discussed this before. We know that Deadpool is going to have an R rating. We already have been confirmed that information. But my fear is that, and especially with the revelation of Charlie Cox as Daredevil being in Spider-Man and in She-Hulk, that we're not going to get the right version. And what I mean by that is, you know, we know that there's a lot of controversy right now with the Blade film, potentially not being an R rating, you know, and that will absolutely damage that project. You know, even more so than my beloved Deadpool, Blade is a film that has to be R rated. You know, there has to be that level of violence in it.
Intensity.
And, you know, and likewise with Punisher, you know, John Barenthal, Shane from The Walking Dead, you know, his version of Punisher that we saw on the Netflix series, second to none, hands down the best version of Punisher that we've seen on screen. You know, and Daredevil was absolutely saved by Charlie Cox. I was very much a Ben Affleck hater following his impersonation of Daredevil. It took Zack Snyder's vision of Batman with Ben Affleck to redeem him in my eyes. So, you know, the fact is that there are certain properties that must be done correctly. And my fear is that because Disney is so, you know, money hungry and conscious, that they're going to mess up these projects by trying to slap them with a PG-13 rating to appeal to everyone when certain projects are not meant to be for everyone.
Yeah, I actually. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. Maybe I'm saying what you're about to say. If you've noticed with the box offices of the Avengers, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every time, even when the movies are not. You know, Captain Marvel was huge only because it followed the coattails of Infinity War. Black Widow was big, you know, blah, 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 etc. Because they created an addiction and like a hunger, you know. Everyone and their families now are in a scenario where their families and their children are going to be watching these movies forever and ever. Amen. You know, they've created a Star Wars level saga now where it's become so ingrained into culture that it's just never going to go away. It's going to be talked about forever and ever and ever and ever, to the point now that they can create ultimate ratings, because even if those kids can't see it yet, they'll see it one day. And that doesn't matter anymore because they're at this point that they own everything.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think, you know, you make a good comparison there because the only type of franchise that we have seen that has been like the MCU has been the Star Wars franchise in terms of scale and phenomena and cultural impact. But I think that they're different. Of course, they're different. But I think the one challenge that Marvel will, and I think the one challenge that Marvel will have is that Lucas was able to create a universe all his own. He was the mastermind behind the worlds, the planets, the characters, the storyline, you name it. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is made up not from one mind, although we love Stan Lee, although we, you know, adore Jack Kirby. These guys did not make all these characters, and some of these characters, like Jay alluded to, Blade, even Wolverine, who can be a very rated R character by nature. You know, like the Logan movie,
and should be.
The best rendition of Logan's character was rated R, and it had to be because they understood the character. So I think that will be the challenge for Marvel versus something like Star Wars. But rest assured, guys, because I trust Marvel. I trust them even more than I do DC, if I'm being honest. Marvel has the money, they have the time,
The competence.
Marvel, yeah, they've proven it. They don't have to prove anything to anyone. If they say, you know what, we're gonna sit on Blade for 5 years because we don't know how to do it right, they're not threatened. There's no they can literally they can write him into the story at any point or any character, and you know that when you get it, it will be right and it'll be what the fans want. Marvel has listened to the fans in a lot of ways, even if they don't acknowledge it. Look at Captain Marvel, who was supposed to come in, for example, and lead the Avengers. And that was what Marvel wanted. You could see it very clearly. It was in all their lingo. The fans didn't react to it well. I'm going to just leave it at that. I'll put it lightly. The fans did not react.
Wanda.
And Marvel,
we do like Wanda.
Yeah, we exactly.
Yeah,
and
no,
Wanda,
so
honestly,
it depends on the character. I've been very brutal about Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Absolute garbage.
Yeah. It was
nicer about it than I am.
A lot of people, a lot of people felt that way, but I feel like Marvel took that and they didn't acknowledge they were wrong, but they just said, okay, we'll move this to the side here and here. Wanda, you know, a much more powerful character.
Oh, yeah.
And fans already loved
love Wanda.
Elizabeth Olsen, excuse me, I almost forgot the actress's name. Elizabeth Olsen's version of WandaVision of Wanda Maximoff. So I trust them. I do trust them with these rated R characters. I know that in acquiring Fox, they've also acquired a lot of talented, great people who can do darker Marvel characters. X-Men is not rated R, but it is definitely a couple shades darker than the MCU. Same thing with Deadpool, rated R. Like, they know how to make a fun movie that's also rated R. So I think they're inheriting a lot of great people. I think that this is not going to be an issue for them. They've got the money, they got the time, they got the people.
Yeah, no, I don't think that they have an issue in terms of, you know, having the right people there. My fear is that they just won't. So that's where my fear comes in. You know, that's not that they can't, but that they won't. So that's where my only
they'll do what the fans want.
Is.
But Marvel will do what the fans want. Yeah, they have. I mean, their history has shown that they have. They do listen. You know, in general, they take what is good. Like, yeah, you know, they took Robert Downey Jr. and made him a star. They took no-name actors like Tom Hiddleston, who is that, and Chris Hemsworth, and now they're like icons. But it was all based on fan feedback. So we got a couple more comments there, but in my heart, I hope they. Yeah, but see, the thing is, you know, to answer your question there, is not that Marvel won't make mistakes. There's no company that won't make mistakes. Marvel has a ton of more crappy movies to make. The problem is, how do you respond to that? Do you ignore it? Like with DC, for example, I love DC, and I'll be honest, I'm more of a DC fan, for those of you who don't know, than I am Marvel. I love DC all day. But the problem with Warner, and it's not DC, it's Warner, it's their parent company right now, is they do not acknowledge failure at all, and they want to shove what their idea of what is right down the fans' throats. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen a company do to a fandom. Nobody has ever treated that. They've tried to, you know, badmouth them, say that the fandom is toxic. Did you know that the Snyder Cut movement has donated more money to charities than any other fan movement, period, in the history of the world? They've broken Twitter records. Yet, you know, you have Variety coming out with hit pieces and all this stuff. I don't want to get into all that. I've done my stuff on that, but this is what I'm saying. Marvel does not treat their fans like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
WE SIBZ for that.
Something we can say. The Black Widow movie just came out, and I'm going to say it. It's going to be a forgettable movie. You know, it's not going to have any stake in anything. It was fun for the week that it came out, or that it's still coming out for. And then it's just going to be set aside like Dark World or something. It's going to be a bottom tier Marvel movie. You know. And
you know what? And you know what's crazy? And that shows, like,
it's not a good movie. I mean, it's not a bad movie though.
That movie is making stupid money right now. Yeah. Like, it's making money like there was no pandemic. In the first weekend, I think it was over $240 million. Meanwhile, Godzilla and those other movies were pulling in 50 million, maybe 80 million opening weekend, 240 million. Like, these are crazy numbers.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, yeah, this brand is so addictive and so family dependent now. Like, everybody's just like, shoot, can I do this on live? But like,
yeah, you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah,
No
sorry,
references
bad
to that
reference,
kind of
bad
stuff.
reference,
Oh,
bad
man.
reference. I was, I don't know, whatever. Moving on, but like, yeah, that's a forgettable Marvel movie, and yet it's breaking so many box offices that
Yeah.
that's just what Marvel does now.
Now, the one thing I
That's
will
just what they
say in slight contrary to that statement is that
Okay.
in terms of the timeline, yes, I do think that the Black Widow movie is forgettable because we know that mistakenly, Marvel decided to end the run of Black Widow before it was really time to end it.
Yeah.
But in
It
terms
was
of the
very
movie
premature.
itself, to me, it was a very, very well done movie. We had the entire live stream. We were on for nearly 3 hours watching / discussing the movie. And, you know, more so than anything else, and I think that the Black Widow movie was allowing a proper send-off to Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, while also taking the time to introduce some of the characters that we're likely going to see going forward to take over that mantle.
Yeah.
You know, Cap is done, Black Widow's done, Iron Man's done. We needed our next phase of these characters. So now we have a new Cap in, you know, in Sam. We have a new sidekick in Bucky. We have now the new Black Widow in Yelena. So I think that these, while in the sense of the timeline, it very much is a forgettable timeline movie. I think the movie itself really is going to be remembered fondly.
Wow. Yeah. See, I don't.
I can say this.
I see. I just have an issue. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, as far as like a societal thing, it is kind of like a Wonder Woman movie. You know, it's one of the first Marvel movies where a girl is actually cool and actually respectable and stuff in their movie. So I think in that way, it's a milestone. You know, but yeah, as far as the timeline goes, it's going to be forgettable.
Yeah, Marvel is, you know, and I think all the superhero shows have had trouble, you know, finding where female characters fit in and stuff like that. And I think they're, you know, DC and Marvel, they're doing a much better job of giving the ladies their fair share and their time in the spotlight. But you know, when it comes to the Black Widow movie, and I did my full review on this, so I'm not gonna, you know, just beat a dead horse, but I feel like with the Black Widow movie, Jay, you're right, it was a send-off. I don't know if it was a proper send-off. And this was mainly because of how they dealt with the Black Widow. Black Widow, let me just soapbox 30 seconds. Black Widow, when you read the comics, this girl is the baddest fighter, arguably, in all of Marvel. I mean, she could fight. I mean, Spider-Man's the greatest, you know, the most agile hand-to-hand combatant. Black Widow is in the top 3, probably. If you take away superheroes, superpowers and stuff like that. So when you have a character like this, and this is her send-off, let the girl fight. Like, let her straight up fight. And I mean, we got one great scene, and she lost. At the spoiler warning, at the end of Black Widow, when they were fighting in the Red Room, in the sky, all these widows come to stop her, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yep, this is it. This is the Punisher prison scene. Like I was ready.
Exactly. Yeah. And I said that in the review. It's the Punisher prison scene. Didn't happen. They didn't give her that. Yeah. Okay. It's not only that they didn't give Black Widow all that she deserved as a character. Forget Scarlett Johansson. A fantastic job, and I think she really brought the character to life. But even if it wasn't her playing it, the character deserves more than that. And number 2, not only did they not do that, but she got outshined in her own movie. Yelena.
No, I agree.
David Arbor's Red Guardian. She got overshadowed in her own big send-off for one of the greatest Marvel characters ever made. And I feel like that, I don't know who was doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that point. It did feel like she was a supporting character in her own movie.
Yeah. And I just, and so for that reason, I feel like I would, even if it's I would rather forget that movie. I would rather look at all the other movies she's been in, like Iron Man 2, where you were like, okay, this is Black Widow, and you know what I mean. Like I would rather remember that. Thank you, Purius, for the chat. Definitely enjoyed the conversation. Definitely enjoyed the comments. We're gonna wrap it up probably about 5 o'clock. So, you know, but just as we're looking at the future of the MCU, season 2 of Loki, I guess, as we're slowing this down, what are your predictions for season 2 of Loki? And remember, this may not come out for a year or two, and many things will have happened in the MCU. So, you may not even be dealing with the same type of stuff. Tom Hiddleston, no, he'll probably be in it. So, guys, what are your predictions? Yeah.
Zach, you want to go first?
I understand where I feel like it's kind of a reset because now Tom has a lot of information that Mobius might not have, or Mobius has a lot of information that Loki won't have, in which case we'll have a repeat type season, but with different dynamics, because now everybody knows that it's King, but we also don't. See, that's the thing. So they revealed a lot. They revealed Kang, they revealed the spaghetti, they revealed the multiverse, but then they didn't do anything with it. We don't know what the state of the multiverse actually is. We know it exists, but we don't know how it is. So, to be decided. We need the second Loki movie just to tell us.
TBD on the Loki season 2. So we do have a question from Jared Pleasant.
Yeah, so here's a question for you guys. So is Sylvie still at the end of time? If so, will her timeline never change, right? So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is the kind of the problem that Marvel created. So if we go back to when time travel first started happening in the MCU, you look like on a big scale, like Avengers, right? Where they're going back in time in the time heist thing that was Avengers Infinity War. They tried to explain how time travel worked. They tried to clear it up here in Loki. It's still a very relatively new concept in the MCU. And now they've kind of blown a lot of things out of the water with this multiverse. Now, in a perfect world, or I guess in a perfect multiverse, if you want to say, physical matter, in other words, the multiverse should not affect the flow of time. But now that we see that there are timelines that can be manipulated, right? There are pockets in that way. It throws everything up in the air as to how time works. So while I can't give you like a definitive, yes, I can point to this, that, and the other reference in the MCU. This is why Sylvie is alive. I would say that her timeline can still be changed and manipulated because I still believe that Marvel's doing personal timelines. So if you live the first half of your life regularly from the day you were born, but then you time travel back and live the second half of your life before you were born, it would still be in your own personal timeline. It would still, you wouldn't be, somebody wouldn't be able to then go in and affect, as the Ancient One said, played by the wonderful Tilda Swinton, whatever, Tilda Swinton, I think is her name. She said that, because they were talking about, she was showing Hulk the time stream or whatever, and she said, no, it doesn't work like this. When you take an Infinity Stone from a time, you can't just return it. It creates a separate timeline. And so I think right now Sylvie is in her own timeline. Just like all those little branches, I think Sylvie is definitely in her own. And her timeline can change. If that makes sense. That's just my thought.
Very well said.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most accurate way to put it. That she is just one of those branches that kind of went off at the end of the episode. In trying to literally wrap our heads around this, there's going to be a lot more that we have to revisit, rewatch when it comes to this series. And I said it before, and I will continue to say it. I'm a very big believer in rewatching programs. I've done it for years for all different types of shows. And most specifically, when you're dealing with shows like these, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, any of the MCU properties, the DC properties, there's so much that gets packed in when it's done correctly, and Easter eggs and references, and when you look at what this show, the way that it ended, the closing image with the branching, and I said it earlier, and kind of glossed over it, and I just want to bring it back up here. In the way that that image was shot, in the way that it was presented to us on camera, the way that those branches were going out, it almost seemed as if it wasn't just branches, but it was like roots of a tree taking hold and really grabbing onto more, and that kind of the best way that I can try to describe what I saw out of that image. It really felt as if there were serious lines of growth that were stronger than others, and I think that that's where this whole entire multiversal war is going to happen, the entire multiversal expansion, allowing for the Fox properties, allowing for different versions of what we've seen, of who we've had. I also think that this is going to give us an opportunity to get back people we've lost. And I don't think that, obviously Black Widow was supposed to come out a long time ago, but I don't think that it's a coincidence that we got Black Widow right before the finale of Loki, when now everything can be reset. So we discussed on that stream how, the Hawkeye situation with Jeremy Renner and all of that, and the delays in that show, and whether or not it's actually going to happen. I think that the opportunity that they now have with this, re-explosion of potential, with this, the roots that were made, the timeline now, the multiversal options, to me is very, very great. And I think that we're at a point where we could see Iron Man come back, where we could see Cap come back, where we could see Black Widow come back. I think that we now have an opportunity to refresh the timeline and also have the opportunity to leave everything the way that it was. So I think that there's an opportunity to keep going with the versions of everything that we've had, and having the culminations of certain timelines, but also this gives an opportunity to bring back people that we've lost and things that we've lost.
So here's a funny joke about superheroes that we've had forever, more so DC, but Marvel does it all the time too. No one ever stays dead. They always come back. So this is an opportunity
whenever
to
they're
actually
needed.
Well, see, that's the thing though. This is an opportunity for death to actually mean something for once in superhero movies. To actually have some meaning and kill somebody and let them stay dead. So I hope that Marvel does that, because I think that would just be kind of nice. Which is really screwed
I think
up
that
to
they
say,
did, and they.
but
I think they. Yeah, no.
Because it creates actual stakes. There needs to be actual stakes and
there are
actual
stakes.
loss.
Otherwise,
Growth sacrifices
as
have no
Sydney says,
purpose.
everybody's a vegan if there are no stakes. So
Yes.
I think that when it comes to that, I think Marvel has been doing that, and I think they've done a great job of grounding it in some sort of consequence. I think, unfortunately, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow kind of bore the brunt of that when it came to finality of death. But moving into this new phase, they did want to show that, hey, characters can die and we will move on from them. But I think we will not. I think that we shouldn't get characters back like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. I think we will get Iron Man back. I think we will get Cap back, but they won't be the same actors. And it won't be the same way, just like Anthony Mackie's Captain America, etc. They want to tell new stories. Nobody wants to do the same thing over again. That's a quick way to make everything dry, make everything stale. I mean, you're talking about with Marvel, some 80-something years of history. You're talking about decades and decades of history. They have got thousands of stories to tell, and I think it would be a waste of time. And it would also cheapen what RDJ did and what Chris Evans did and what Hiddleston and Hemsworth and Johansson and all these people did when they came together for that, short amount of time and made a movie in what, 2008 or whatever. And let that be what it is, and let it live as it is.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I think that it gives the opportunity. I don't think that they're going to go down that path, but just having the potential, where references can be made, where we can go back and let me get maybe glimpses of things,
Yeah, and bro, I didn't mean to. Like I totally agree with you. I do think that we will see cameos, like we will see them come back. But I think it's important for us to have some time removed so that the fans are not constantly hanging on. We don't want to make the MCU hang on RDJ and Chris Evans. We give us 10 years without them, and then bring them back when they're like 60 and whatever, and having an old man Cap. Well, not an old man, because he still wouldn't be that old.
Yeah,
exactly.
Come talk to the young Avengers.
And that really adds and it adds the salt and pepper to the whole story, so that Marvel doesn't look like they're just. It's such a balance, and I really do admire the way that they're doing it, because it never looks like they're chasing what the fans want. They have a direction, they have a desire for the story, and it's only when the fans are very clear and very vocal about their disapproval of something that Marvel will
united on it.
Okay, well, let's rethink that. Exactly.
United on it. I think that's the biggest thing.
As far as these characters.
Just to kind of piggyback on that before I forget my point, but I think that the biggest thing is when the fan base is united on something specific. We spoke about Captain Marvel earlier. The fan base was very clear. We did not want Brie Larson leading up the next phase as the leader of the MCU. We didn't want it, and we're not getting it. We absolutely love Tom Holland's Peter Parker. His Spider-Man. That's who we're getting as kind of the new front man for this next phase in parts. You know what I mean? The fan base, to kind of jump back on the DC spot for a second, was very, very, very adamant about Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, about getting the Justice League Snyder cut. And we got it finally. And now again, pushing back, getting the Snyderverse as a whole. So I think that credit to Marvel, credit to Disney, credit to those. They actually do listen when the fans are united about something specifically. And I think that as long as, as the fan base comes together, pushing for the right direction, I think that we will end up getting what we want out of these properties.
The Sonic theory.
Yeah. I totally agree. So guys, it's a 5 a.m. Guys, we're going to be digging into this for weeks to come. But one last question I want to ask to you guys, just as quickly as you can, rank the 3 MCU TV shows right now, with 3 being the least and number 1 obviously being number 1.
As far as importance, or just how I enjoyed them?
Yeah, overall your favorite show. No, not in importance. I mean, it's kind of it's Loki. But no, because it could be WandaVision. I mean, because WandaVision Wanda could easily almost undo it.
I'd say it's Loki. But okay.
Yeah.
So just for clarifying, how we enjoyed it, right?
Yes.
That's how we're ranking based on our enjoyment.
Your favorite MCU shows. Jared's got one more question. Maybe we'll answer that and then we'll do it so we can kind of think about it. So Jared asks, so how does the MCU explain the Guardians of the Galaxy's next movie? Adam Warlock coming in. Oh, I cannot wait to see Adam Warlock, and Sentry, hopefully, if we can get him in the multiverse movies at the same time, keeping track of things.
Well,
I'm not sure I understand your question there, Jared. Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Yeah.
So that's the thing with multiple moving parts of multiple cosmic beings at once, basically. Throwing Adam Warlock and then, Kang in at the same time, What we're going to get is a lot of conspiracy theories with a lot of separate timelines. There's going to be a lot of charts. This wall behind me is probably going to have a lot of paper on it with a lot of pins and string all over it. recreating the timeline, because time is now non-essential. It's not even an importance anymore. People are hopping through time like I go through aisles at a grocery store. You know, it just doesn't matter anymore. So we're going to have the problem that we get with Doctor Who and other time travel shows, where we have to create the timeline ourselves almost. Because in shows like Rick and Morty, Doctor Who, to my knowledge, they exist in multiple realities at once, and they rely on us to decide which realities they're in. So who knows? Here we go. It's all free for all. And may the cards
you know
lie.
what? Yeah, Jay, you got thoughts on that
one? Yeah, I mean, I think that
how are they going to keep track of things?
I think they already have. I think that what they're going to do, they've already figured that out. They already know the direction that they're headed. They've known for a while. And I think that, like Zach said, I think that somewhere there's a wall, you know, with string pinned to this, that, and the third of how they're going to manage this entire timeline. I think that it's going to be something that, while it seems kind of complicated, that once it actually plays out, it'll be very simple to follow. You know, they've already kind of proven that to us through the first couple of phases of the MCU, having a clear vision, showing the way that we get from point A to point B to point C to point D. And I think that while we may not see the direction yet, things are starting to get a little clearer as to how they're going to handle it. You know, when we first saw WandaVision, we thought, all right, we're getting the introduction to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse universe right here. You know, we know she's going to be in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. You know, that was the first kind of inkling, and then everybody ran with their theories there. When we saw the recasting of Pietro in WandaVision, everybody started with their theories there. You know, so I think that Marvel does a very good job of misdirection. They very much have magicians on their hands that are playing these sleight of hand tricks when it comes to their properties. So I think that, much like we said, you know, much like you said, Chris, early on with this Loki show, you can't really believe everything you see, because you're going to have your eyes, you know, tricked. And I think that that's where, in trying to keep track for ourselves, we're going to miss the direction that they're headed. So it's one of these things where it's just sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
I definitely, you know, I think no matter what they do, we're definitely going to enjoy it. I think Marvel is, you know, I allow Marvel to prove me wrong now. DC in a lot of ways has to prove themselves still. But Marvel, they have to prove me, you know, they don't have to prove anything right now. So what I would say in response to that, Jared, is that Adam Warlock, you know, as we saw him at the end of Guardians 1 that they showed him? What was the post? Because it was a post-credit scene, but I'm not sure if that was
they showed
Guardians
him
1. Anyway.
Yeah,
I think it was at the end of Guardians 1. So they showed Adam Warlock, you know, being worked on and stuff like that. I think that Kang right now is on a much bigger tier. Not necessarily in terms of power, but in terms of just you know, what he's dealing with. Kang is literally conquering the universe right now. Adam Warlock is an infant. He's not even born yet. So he's going to have to go through finding out who he is and dealing with the Immortals and all these different things, and Guardians, dealing with Thor and Asgard and all those things before he's even anywhere near Kang. So to answer your question, I think that it's something that Marvel doesn't even know yet in terms of when those two characters will meet. So yeah, and you know, Justin, I think we can't wait. Hopefully Spider-Man, the trailer will be out tomorrow. We'll be keeping an eye out. You know, keep it locked here at the Laracuente Ledger and also at WE SIBZ, because we'll be keeping an eye on all these trailers. And if there is one that comes out tomorrow, it's probably because it has some information that we weren't allowed to know prior to this. So with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap with our final question of the night, which is rank the MCU TV shows, the Disney Plus TV shows, from your least favorite being number 3 to number 1 being number 1.
Who wants to go first?
Anybody. Don't all jump in.
Okay. So, I'm going to start with WandaVision because it's actually my 3rd favorite. But I do want to make the disclaimer that I think societally, or like as a whole, as a collective, it may have been everybody's favorite because it was the first one. We had a huge MCU drought. And I remember watching WandaVision. Everyone was talking about it constantly in a way that wasn't happening with the other two, because the other two felt more like a Marvel movie, whereas WandaVision was just so brand new, so different, so weird that it brought so many people into the MCU. You know, people who've never seen anything about the MCU, they see all this weird WandaVision stuff and they're like, oh, I'll watch that, right? So I think that one wins as a whole. Me personally, though, 3rd, just because I loved Loki so much and I freaking loved the Captain America so much. I mean, my shirt gives it away. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is probably my favorite. I loved that so much. I don't think I talked about it much because I was so engrossed into it. All of it, honestly. There's not a part in that whole show that didn't bore me or didn't, I loved it so much. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my favorite. Yeah. On theme.
Number 1. I like it. I like it. Jay, what you got?
What you got, bro?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So I think in terms of 3, 2, 1, it's fighting my inner fanboy versus storyline. Okay. And I think when it comes to the storyline, I enjoyed the story in this is tough. It's not WandaVision. It's between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki. That's what I'm struggling right now with as far as storyline. And I don't want to get confused that the scale of the story, because Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The story was good, but it was on such a small scale that I'm having a hard time appreciating it. So what I would say is my least favorite of the 3 would unfortunately have to be Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Although I love the characters, it's my inner fanboy. I like cosmic. I love the people who are just beast in their powers. So then, story-wise, the best story was Loki, but that's actually going to get the number 2 spot for me.
Wow.
And that is simply because Wanda Maximoff is so OP, like we have never we've never seen, and we didn't even really get a taste of it in the show.
We didn't.
I cannot wait to see. What she's going to get up to. So WandaVision for me, the first one, is still my number 1. And like I said, story. Some others were better and all those things. But yeah, number 1 for me, it's got to be WandaVision. Yeah.
So my list is exactly the same as yours, Chris. WandaVision was number 1 for me. Wow. I think that when it comes to one, not just because it was the first one, but I think that because of where her kind of progression through the show came to where we saw at the end, I think the only slight glimpse that we got of her potential power was at the very end in the post-credit scene or whatever it was, where she's astroplaning and reading through the grimoire.
Yeah.
While she's sitting outside drinking tea. To me, that was the very small glimpse of what she can do that we finally saw.
Yeah.
And
she's OP,
I think that super OP. And I think that for where that's going to lead the rest of the MCU, that to me was absolutely hands down my favorite show. I also, to kind of piggyback on what Zach said about it, I love the weirdness of it. I love the fact that the first 3 episodes were in black and white. I love the fact that it was almost being watched as a television show by us, while also being watched as a television
by
show
different
by
decades.
people in
Yeah.
it. You know, the transition from decade to decade to decade to decade, I loved it. You know, the fact that there was so much thoughts of different things, you know, that were, that weren't, that could this be, could this be, you know, the entire everything about potentially having Mephisto be in it, the you know, complete switch that they played on everybody by having the Fox version of Pietro play her brother as opposed to the actual, you know, Pietro that played, the actual actor that played Pietro in the MCU. The fact that Darcy Lewis would say she recast Pietro, you know, just the you know, super meta everything about it. I also think, you know, the fact that they did play a lot to the fourth wall. We saw a lot of the way that they kind of handled different shows from the different eras. You know, calling back to things from, you know, I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, you know, Modern Family, Step by Step, you know, just the way that they kind of covered all of that. To me, that's hands down why it was my favorite show. You know, again, Loki, absolutely phenomenal, comes in second place for me, for everything that you said, Chris. And I think that in terms of, you know, overall where it's going, overall art, this probably would have been number one, because of where it will lead to, based on the way that they kind of close everything out, the scale of it all. Definitely would have put it number one if that's where we were going. But in terms of personal favorite, that's where it ended up. And again, the same exact reason why Falcon and Winter Soldier ended for number 3 for you. The fact that these other two shows left us off on a much grander scale and a much you know, grander opportunity for potential in the future, where while there was a lot in Falcon and Winter Soldier to really sink your teeth into, especially given the climate, the time that we're in, it just felt lesser of a scale than the other two.
Yeah, it was very self-contained.
Yeah. So I think that for that reason, I came in exactly the same exact format as you did, of WandaVision, Loki, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, yeah, you know, but that is to say they're all fantastic.
Oh yeah, none of them were a flop. They were amazing.
Yeah,
I plan to rewatch.
Yeah, when you say really rank them, they are within a 1/10% ranked. Like they're basically on top of each other. Yeah.
Yep. You're splitting hairs no matter which way you put it.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see how you know, I actually feel like DC has really good shows on HBO Max, at least Titan season 3. I think that's the only show that they have that could compete with anything that Marvel is doing on Disney Plus. So with that being said, guys, thank you for sitting and watching the reaction, the live reaction to the episode, as well as the post episode reaction. Guys, we have enjoyed this show. Go back and watch it again. We do the live watch throughs, I think pretty much since episode 2 or 3. So it's a great time. I'm going to go back and watch them. We'll probably be doing, you know, our final thoughts, full reaction. You know, this is kind of a fresh thing, but we'll have our reviews, our theories about the future of the MCU, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So the only way to be there for that kind of stuff is to lock it in with the subscribe and click the bell. Also like the video if you're liking the video, so we can share more content with you guys, grow the community, watching our favorite movies and TV shows. We're live streaming right now on both the Laracuente Ledger and WE SIBZ, and we're giving away a pair of AirPods too at 10,000 subs. So the best way to get entered to win those as well is to subscribe to both channels. But thank you guys so much for watching, as always. Guys, peace out, signing out. Any last comment?
Good night.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much for watching.
This was absolutely fun. Absolutely fun. So we will definitely catch you guys for, I don't know what the next series is we're going to be covering like this, but we'll definitely bring it back.
We'll be there.
For sure. Yeah. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See you. Night.